Welcome to the Indie Author Showcase, the podcast by indie authors for indie authors. I am your host, multi-award winning author Chad Robert Morgan. Let me start by giving you a quick update on what's going on with me. As those that are following the podcast knows, I had a very successful Monsterpalooza until I didn't. I was making a lot of new fans, seeing a lot of old fans return. Fear sold out, and we were packing up, and I had an accident. So currently I am going to PT. I am getting a lot more mobility back into my leg. My lip is still swollen here. It feels like I got a small rock, but it is shrinking. So very slowly I am healing. PT has been working with my leg. They tend to squeeze my swollen knee like it's a grapefruit, and I'm trying to get all the juice out of it. And it is... I never sympathized with a grapefruit before because it is not a pleasant experience. But I am getting a lot more mobility. I got this bitchin' kick-ass cane. I figure if I'm going to hobble around, I'll at least do it in style. But truth be told, now that I'm going to PT, I'm using this guy less and less. So, really just for comfort. Really don't need it. But that's the latest for me. So thank you all for those that have reached out and asked, how are you doing? And are you okay? Sorry about your accident. Do appreciate the well wishes. And I am very, very slowly healing up. So that's the good news. In about 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be in Fresno for Hotmare Expo. I am looking forward to that. I am really hoping that my knee is back to normal, my lip is back to normal, and I can talk normal. I mean, I can kind of talk normal now, but it's still sore up in here where the bone meets the cartilage of the nose. It is a little hard to talk sometimes when it feels like you got a small rock in there. So hopefully I will be all healed up by the time I meet a whole new group of fans over at the Fresno Fairgrounds. That's the 27th and 28th, I believe it is, of July. So, and then in September, we have Creep IE Aftermath. Again, if you're getting your one-day ticket at Creep IE Aftermath, use promo code SPECTRAL and get $5 off, and it helps us here at the podcast. The one vendor who has the most promo codes cashed in gets a bit of a prize, and trust me, your boy Chad here can use a win, so please give me a hand. So I want to talk a little bit about what we're not supposed to be able to talk about on Instagram. Okay, so let me back up a little bit and share with you a little bit of a story. So what I do is I record the podcast and get it ready for Podbean, for Spotify, and for YouTube. And I run the video through a software called Opus Clip, which basically frames it for the TikTok type resolution, where it's more letterbox on its side, and it does the captions automatically, and it tries to edit it to make it seem as catchy as possible, and it's all AI driven, and it's all automatic, and occasionally it does some goofy things. Like one time I put up one of the videos was put up, and Raven's like, "Oh, that's my last name is Belasco," and I'm like, I know that, and apparently the AI generation didn't catch the right syllable or something and posted something else, and I was like, that's Opus Clip. That's my apologies. That happens. The AI did something stupid. One of the clips that got posted up there very early on, Raven turned around and emailed me and said, dude, you should take that off because you're saying certain words that's going to get you shadow banned. And so I took her advice and pulled that video down from Instagram. What that topic was about was how in the beginning of her book there are a lot of mature content that I guess you can't say mature content, or can't say, sexuality explicit content, or anything like that. So I guess the code word is spicy. So whenever you want to talk about that kind of thing, you have to say it's spicy. Sounds like more like you're talking about a chimichanga, but that's just me. It's a little silly, I think, but I mean, I get it. They don't want Instagram to turn into OnlyFans. Okay, that's fair. But we still have to be able to have mature conversations about things. So I get it. I've had a similar problem with leaving the reviews for Amazon. So one of the things I've decided to do as a podcast is all the books that we have reviewed, we should be leaving 5-star reviews on Goodreads, and then I got it to where I can leave those same reviews on Amazon. Problem is that some of those reviews get flagged by their terms of service, probably for the same reason that I have to say spicy on Instagram. So I have to go through and re-edit them and re-upload them. I'm also limited to how many reviews I can put on Amazon per week, because technically I didn't buy these books from Amazon, so I'm not a verified reviewer or verified purchaser. So all the reviews, except for a couple of graphic novels where I couldn't find them on Goodreads, they're all on Goodreads. And about half of them I ported over to Amazon. I need to continue to do that for the other half. So that's a work in progress. But now I have to deal with the same kind of thing. I have the spicy content I have to moderate for the review on Amazon, which is not fun. With that said, I wanted to talk about, there used to be 3 rules for the podcast. This was back when I had a partner and I was doing this with my son, however reluctantly. And the rules were simple. 1, in order to be on the podcast, you had to be indie author or small press. This is the indie author showcase. Stephen King doesn't need the help. He's just fine without us. You could not be erotica, because I was doing this with my son, who is underage, and that's like really awkward. And then 3, at least one of us had to like the book. We weren't going to bring it on the podcast just to trash it, right? So if it didn't meet a certain quality bar, we didn't mention it. With him gone, that middle requirement is no longer applicable. So now we have full reign to talk about the spicy. There were a few books that sort of kind of teetered on that rule to begin with. Cynthia Diamond's book, which again was a book that I liked way better than I thought I would. But about maybe 3/4 of the way through, it's fine. And then you start hitting like about 3 different incidences of the spicy content, which I didn't have a problem with, but my son was turned off by it. Again, he's underage. Dicey Grenner's book was the Sleeping Willow, the narcoleptic vampire. We read book 1 of that. That had a lot of spicy stuff, and unapologetically. But that still didn't count as erotica, in my opinion, because there was a story going on, right? In the case of Cynthia Diamond, this supernatural being is being pursued by another supernatural being. They're trying to protect her. There's a little bit of a mystery as to what's going on. There was a plot. Same with Dicey's book. There were stakes. we had a vampire trying to avoid a government organization that was trying to round up and get rid of all the vampires. She was trying to keep her identity as a vampire hidden. That was not erotica by my definition. So one author who I met at HorrorCon one year was Erin Louis. And she, like similar to Dicey, she writes books that are horror mixed with erotica. But she also writes straight out erotica, right? This is a woman who used to be a stripper, used to be in the adult. I don't know if she was a porn star, but she was a stripper. She was doing those kind of how do I want to say? She was in that world. I mean, she might not have been making movies or anything like that, but she was definitely like on the stage and stuff like that. So she wrote a short a book which is a series of short stories, Dirty Thoughts and Awkward Boners, and I think the title right there kind of tells you where we're going. So this book is pure spice. Okay, this is the spicy of the spice. Every short story is basically, here's this spicy adventure I had one time. Here's this spicy adventure I had one time. And for the most part, they're all true stories. There is one exception. I'll get to that in a minute. Of course, we didn't review it at the time because it violated the terms. Those terms are lifted, so now we can finally talk about it. I thought, and I was listening to it on Audible, which made it a little awkward because you're sitting there driving and it's like, and this person touched me here, and okay, turn that down a little bit, make sure nobody's listening, that kind of thing. I did think the book was excellent. I mean, it's really short, right? I think it's only like something like 3 hours long on Audible. It's tiny, but it was a fast read. It was very entertaining if you are into that kind of thing, and I do not have a problem with that kind of thing. There was one two-parter in there that gave me a taste of what her fiction is like, and this was again part of this erotica mixed with horror. Girl has a one-night stand, wakes up, the guy's like all tore up and bloodied in the bathroom. It ends with her kind of making a deal with a demon, and they're partnering up and stuff like that. That was really interesting, because obviously that is fiction. Well, I mean, if it's not fiction, the girl's got bigger problems. But it did make me kind of like interested in more of her more fictional work as opposed to her autobiographical work. So again, we do review different types of books on the podcast. Not everything that we review is going to be a flavor that is going to be for you. If you're into the steamy, spicy stuff, this was a very well written, very entertaining book, and I enjoyed it a lot. If you are a 14-year-old girl, we have other books that we can recommend. This is not for you. But again, that's fair, right? We don't all like the same thing. If we did, life would be really boring. So it is all about finding what works for you. And if this is the genre that you choose, if this is the genre that interests you, this is a strong recommendation. So I would definitely check her out. Speaking of books that are not for everybody, and I bring this up because last week we reviewed the splatterpunk book, The Playground. And I gave my honest review of that book, and with the same kind of caveat. If you're into splatterpunk, if you're into really violent content and genre or boundary pushing content, check it out. If that's not for you, if you can't stomach movies like Terrifier, you might want to pass. But again, if it's your flavor, excellent book. Reason I'm bringing this up again is it was recently announced that Aaron Beauregard is publishing the sequel to The Playground, called Playground Child of Divorce, I believe is what it was called. One of the things that he was talking about in promoting this is the Playground was very infamous for what he calls the Chapter 5 scene. And I don't want to get into it, but let's just say it turned my stomach. It was very, very graphic, very, very disturbing. And it wasn't even violent. It was just somebody had some really gross issues going on, right? It was more, I don't want to say spicy because it wasn't really turning me on. It was sort of like her wanting to be spicy, but in a way that really turned everybody else's stomach. So he's saying that there's going to be several chapter 5s in this one. There's going to be several of those incidences where something is just going to be so wrong that it's going to push your limits. So if you read The Playground, it's not The Playground. If you read Playground and you're like, I'm ready for more, check out Child of Divorce. It is not out yet, I don't think, but it should be coming out soon. So keep an eye out for that. As usual, we do try to keep our viewers up to date of what's happening with our the authors that we reviewed to help continue to promote their work. I do want to say right now, though, that one reason why we're covering Erin's book today as opposed to earlier, not that Erin Louis's book doesn't deserve to be covered, but Alex has been off the show for a while. I could have covered it earlier. Reason I got to it now is because I am starting to run out of books that I have finished reading. I was reading another one, and I was about a third of the way through before I realized we'd already done a book by this author. And I have a TBR list, like getting like this. So I mean, I don't really have time to revisit an author, whether I want to or not, right? There are definitely authors I would like to go back and read more of. And I got to get through this TBR. So there's a couple books I'm listening, but the reason I'm bringing this up is because the demands on my time are increasing. So it started a few years ago when my son got sick and we started running up the medical bills. Then I started this whole going to conventions and trying to sell my book and build that up as a side hustle, basically. And I invested a lot of money in the beginning that I haven't really earned back. I am to the point now where I'm on a good convention, I'm breaking even. And I'm fine with breaking even, because if I'm breaking even, then I can afford to do the next one. If I'm not breaking even, then I do the next one at a cost. And a few of them I've done that. Like Vampire Weekend was a very slow convention. It was their first one, but it didn't have the draw. It didn't have the audience. So I didn't even make booth fees. And the booth fees weren't that expensive for this thing. So that was a loss. So then on top of that, we had vet bills, and we've racked up about at least $3,000 of vet bills so far. Auto repair bills. I mean, it just every time we turn around, there's another bill. Then I have my accident. Like the boy had racked up all this medical debt. Now I'm at having my own. I go to Monster Palooza, I do great, and then I turn around and get a $200 ER bill because I can't walk without tripping over a damn box and breaking my face open. So the reason I'm doing this sob story is because I'm having to take on extra work to earn extra money so I can pay down this debt so I can continue to do things like doing the conventions. I was just asked to apply for Creep It Real Festival, a convention I've been trying to get into for about a good year or two, and I don't have to cash for the booth fees for the application. So right now I'm working extra jobs so I can have money so I can keep doing this stuff. And what that means is there's only so many hours in the day, and I'm having less time to write, less time to read. I'm still fighting to try to get the audiobook for Fear done. That's also taking my time. There's still chapters that need to be re-recorded. There's chapters that need to be edited down and processed. It's just taking forever. Everything is taking forever. So if I am skipping weeks, it's because I'm behind. And I am not giving up on the podcast. I think this is an important thing for the indie author community. Not my podcast per se, because let's face it, I got like 3 viewers. But this idea of indie authors helping indie authors, this kind of sense of camaraderie that I'm trying to build, that I feel like I am building, even if it's very slowly and much more local than I would like. We do get occasional people out of state. Raven's on the East Coast. Dicey Grinner is in Texas, but most of the authors I work with are ones that I meet at conventions, and the conventions I'm going to are the ones that are here because that's the ones I can afford to go to. So I am definitely trying to build and expand and spread out. But the demands of my time are increasing. So something might have to give. And so I might not be able to do this every week like I hope to do. It takes time to read. Even if I'm driving and I'm listening to an audiobook, I still have to have time to listen to it. If I'm if I'm driving in an area where I can't have the radio on because I got people in the back or something like that, then I'm not listening to the audiobook. So just want to put that out there. If you start seeing a drop in shows, it's not due to a lack of interest. It's not because I'm petering out. It's just I have to have a book to review. I have to read a book. It takes time, and I'm running out of time. So just wanted to be straight with y'all and let you know where we're coming from. With that said, I do think the show works better with a co-host. If anybody is interested in co-hosting, either full-time or just occasionally as kind of a guest co-host, I would love to have people on the show. I do miss the early days when I did do it with my son, because we would banter back and forth and have fun, and we would laugh. But after a while, he just really didn't want to do it, and it became a chore, and then he was dragging the whole show down. So he's a teenager. He's going to want to do what he wants to do. You can only push him so far, so it is what it is. But if anybody is interested, especially if they are an indie author themselves and want to talk about their own stuff and promote their own conventions and book signings and everything like that, would love to have you on the podcast. I am also trying to schedule a few more interviews. I know Josh Spiro, he is working on his second Halloween, and we talked about getting him on the show when that's about ready to launch. So I'm hoping for that. I've had conversations with Eric Williford, and he is apparently in the midst of moving, and once he gets settled, I'm hoping to get him on the podcast. He's a little busy right now, but once things get resettled, I hope to get him, because he was a fun person to hang out with at the Pasadena Comic-Con. That Josh is a fun person to hang out with. Eric was really fun to hang out with. Those would both be great interviews, and I'm hoping to get them on the show in the very near future. With that said, if you want to help support the podcast, first thing you can do is listen to the podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Podbeam. You can find it on YouTube. If you like it, share it. Tell everybody you know about it. If you hear any of the books that you like, give them a try. Support other indie authors. That's sort of the point of the podcast, is to help each other. If you like the review I had of Aaron Beauregard's book, or Eric Williford's book, or Raven Belasco's book, or any authors that I've talked about, go check them out. Thirdly, you can always go to Shop Spectral Inc. and get your Indie Author Showcase merch. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have tote bags, you name it, anything that I can pretty much throw a logo on and print through Printful. It's all print on demand. Shipping is free. It's included into the price of the item, so you don't have to worry about the price jumping up drastically as you enter your thing, because suddenly you have to pay for shipping from Saskatchewan. It's all included in the cost, so you're good there. And lastly, the last thing you can do that really help the podcast is, if you're going to Creep IE this September, use promo code Spectral. Again, the vendor whose promo code is cashed in the most often, they get a free booth for the next one. And I am trying really hard to get that booth. Really trying hard to get that booth. I was second place last time, and I think I was third or fourth place time before that. So I am taking this competition very seriously. I want that free booth. So please, Creep IE Aftermath, Ontario, California, September. Use promo code Spectral. And until then, keep on reading.